Live once again. pTGC and UFO Twitter space, along with being on YouTube. We call it the Space Tube. So we started these at the same time. We'll see who jumps in. It's always good. I'm going to endeavor to not say Thanks to the one viewer that showed up so far. TG Zen is in. Jay Portmer is here. Good to have you. We're 2-2, Zen, so far. How are you doing? Oh. Zen, how's it going?
Good. Can you hear me all right?
Yep, I can hear you. Now, if the people on YouTube would just give me a thumbs up or something, let me know that you can hear me clearly. I think I have everything set up back to normal. We have 4 people so far on YouTube, just you and me on Twitter. You can see that. You can see the Twitter though, right?
Yeah. Here, I'll try to repost it. I'm just driving right now. The luck of the draw, I'm actually picking up my wife from the airport right now. How random is that?
That's ironic. That is funny. Are you on your way to pick her up then? She's not in the car yet?
No, she's in the car.
Okay.
I just grabbed her.
Okay. Right on. Good husband.
Yeah, just don't mention all of crypto being down. Haven't told her yet.
Okay, I won't say anything. We'll keep it a secret. I showed my wife what I posted this afternoon on Twitter about Black Monday, and I started rattling it off, and she turned around and walked away. She didn't want to hear it. It's okay. It's kind of a guy. A guy.
Yeah, no, I was just joking though. She knows about it.
Okay. Men are built different. Like we can handle that a little bit more than a woman. I'm not being. It's just it is what it is. So I should have known better than to try to bring bad news about crypto to my wife. But
yeah, only bring the good news.
Yeah. Okay, everybody can hear on YouTube. That's good. So I think, correct me if I'm wrong here, but what happens, Zen, is we kind of just mill about smartly for a few minutes, as people come in. Yeah. Jay Portmer says, women are emotional typically while men are logical. Yes, exactly. Yep. So, yeah, men are they go out and kill it, drag it home, and the women they cook it up and feed it to the family. They're the nurturers. They're not the go out and kill it, drag it home typically.
My wife's listening, Banana.
Okay. Is she nodding her head or shaking her head?
No, she's laughing.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think I almost put my foot in my mouth the other day on Saturday. I haven't listened to that stream, but I kind of alluded to it negative. Something negative, I think. And you know how when you say something or you have a conversation later on, it's haunting you? That the beginning of our stream on Saturday was haunting me because I'm like, oh no, did I say something negative? And then I realized her wife's in the car. But hopefully I didn't, because usually what you find out is you didn't.
I don't even remember it, so it must not have been that negative.
Well, I saw Bitcoin this morning touch off at like 53. When I looked at my phone, it must have been about 10 or 11 a.m. And it had knifed down to 53. It closed the day, if I'm reading this right, at about 54, it looks like. And right now it's at 55 and a half. So that's the big alpha Bitcoin. And then we can look at Ethereum, and it was under 3 when I looked at it earlier today. And you know what I'm thinking about this, Zen, is that this could go on. Really, it could go on for a few weeks.
Yeah, some people just have to swallow the pill sometimes, and it sometimes doesn't happen overnight. You know, it could take a week or two, even more.
Yeah.
Or sometimes it just bounces right back up because the market knows it shouldn't be down here.
Right. Well, that SEC crash of a few weeks ago, when both UFO and pTGC gained to zero, it was only down for, I don't know what time frame, but it was very short, like 24, 36 hours, something like that. That was a small, narrow band of opportunity to snipe some deals. And I know a lot of people did.
Yeah, usually you miss the bottoms. That's the sad truth. So that's why you kind of just try to get the best chance you can of the bottom. Know that you're not going to get it perfectly, but DCA in when you can and at least get anywhere near the bottom.
Right. I like what you said. It was probably about 10 days ago on one of these streams. You're like, if you're looking to buy, just stack fiat on the side and wait for a dip, and that's good advice.
Yeah.
The thing of it is,
or when it's oversold,
like on the RSI.
Oversold. Yeah. Or MACD. Just wait for it to be oversold if you're patient. A lot of people aren't patient. You know what I mean? Once they get the money, they're like, oh, I need to get it in, which obviously, as long as it's not like the peak of the bull run, is usually an okay decision as long as you have patience and you're willing to wait after you make that buy.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to, if you are buying maybe not the bottom, just to not blow your whole load, because if you keep a little bit of dry powder, if it does dip, you can really double down on that position. And then if it goes back up to that first position you bought in at, you've multiplied your bag times 3 instead of just breaking even.
Yeah. So
I like the strategy. You win either way. If it goes up from there, then you're good. You maybe didn't invest your whole amount, but you're up, which is solid. And then if it goes down, you didn't invest your whole amount, so you DCA in at a lower price to make your average a little better.
Right. So about 10 days ago, Ethereum was 3,500. Now it's 2,500, and I'm seeing it. I'm not the best with TA, but I'm seeing with my own eyes that Ethereum is a leverage play on Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, yes, it dipped. I don't know I could actually do a measurement here. Ethereum dipped about 30%, where Bitcoin, and this is just kind of raw, Bitcoin dipped, we'll call it 20%. And then, hey, we can do Pulse. So let's go to the daily for Pulse. And yeah, I don't think this is a waste of time. I think this is interesting. From, about the 22nd of July to today, Pulse dipped 26%. So not quite as much as Ethereum, which is, I guess that's a good thing.
Yeah. So one piece of good news from today is we added another 4K worth of LP with ink.
Okay.
And burned it. So now our ink pair is bigger and more burnt. So that's good with pTGC.
Yeah. Okay.
So just taking advantage of the bottoms is nice. I believe this dip, just UFO, had roughly $50,000 of volume, majority from arbitrage bots. So obviously we're taking advantage of all the volatility and just, doing our thing, which we're one of the only tokens actually getting to capitalize on these market shifts, which is nice. It's just paying more PLS, it's buying and burning more supply.
Mm-hmm.
Like just today. And you might have your computer in front of you. I don't know.
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe you could pull up the exact volume. Maybe it's 60K actually. I forget, but
57. You're
57.
real close. Yep.
So just today, UFO has burned $557 of pTGC, $557 of UFO, and that's not too much when you look at it just as a one-day thing, but it really starts to add up when it's happening consistently on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah.
Especially at these lows, because our liquidity pools are sucked down to such low sizes at this point due to the whole market shrinking down.
Yeah.
Once we go back up to bigger sizes, our volume will naturally increase because the arbitrage bots will have to move more money to fix the pools. So the fact that we're getting such good volume, even at these drastically low prices, I think Pulse is literally at all-time lows again, but
yes,
the machine's still working fairly well, which is good.
Yeah, I've been tracking the total LP every day, along with Pulsechain volume, and then the volume and LP for pTGC and UFO. So today was the first time our total LP dipped below 3 million for about 3 weeks. First day in 3 weeks that it was below 3 million. Yet the Pulsechain volume, and this is actually yesterday because it's a 24-hour record from the previous 24 hours. So and then the Pulsechain volume on the 3rd, I'll just give you guys a comparison. The Pulsechain volume on the 3rd, which was, would that have been Saturday, was 8 million. And yesterday, the 4th, it was 29 million. I'm using round numbers. So it 3x'd between Saturday and Sunday. And the volume going through the volume of pTGC in all the pools on Saturday, 4,500. Sunday, 40,000. Huge difference.
Yeah, definitely. The market shifted enough to really kick those arbitrage bots in. And that's really what we're looking for. I was actually thinking about this explanation or theory that is, I'd say, pretty relevant and actually makes a little bit of sense. And what we have here, with our protocol compared to a standard token, is almost in comparison to if you compare a long time ago, when before they understood agriculture, they were just gathering and hunting. So they had to constantly find new crops or new food to eat off of. And then once they were introduced to agriculture, they actually developed systems to make it to where their food grew for them. So they started using systems to feed themselves so they didn't have to go find it every day. And I feel like that's a good comparison to what we are compared to a different token, where a different token has to go find users every day.
Yes.
And new buyers. But we've actually developed a system to where we actually grow our own volume naturally every day, just like they did with the discovery of agriculture, which is actually very interesting because as time goes on, obviously things develop. And that's a basic example of the past where that happened, and it pretty much changed the world forever. The discovery of agriculture, obviously.
Yeah.
No one hunts or gathers anymore for the most part. And if you think about it, standard tokens are still hunting and gathering new users in volume on a daily basis. That's what they have to wake up and do every single day. And ultimately we don't, because we discovered a system where we ultimately just have systems put in place to where it grows for us.
Yeah.
And I think it's pretty interesting to kind of relate stuff like this, our modern day issues and resolution, or our issues and then how we resolve those issues, to past situations and how they resolve those issues in the past as well, are pretty similar.
Sure. Well, guys, if you have no matter you're on YouTube or in the space, if you got a question, actually on YouTube, pop it in the chat and I'll post it on the screen. If you got a question and you're on X, raise your hand or ask to speak and we'll let you speak. I see Mikey's in the chat again. Good. I am endeavoring to not say and I was thinking, so, I went on this little trip. I had some time I went walking like in the neighborhoods. It was great just to unplug for a little bit. And you can imagine where my thoughts were going, being involved in this ecosystem and in crypto in general for a few years. I was thinking that we know that pTGC and UFO are pretty much dependent, or maybe even 100% dependent on the success of Pulsechain. They wouldn't exist if Pulsechain didn't exist. So, and Pulsechain is below the sacrifice price, which for me is very exciting. It's also a little bit nerve-wracking because, I hate to use the term need, but we do need for Pulse to be successful. But if it is successful, and we're all how do you put it? We're all speculating on pTGC and UFO, all these different tokens and ecosystems on the Pulse network. We're speculating here that Pulse will be successful. And if it is, pTGC, I think pTGC and UFO are going to be a home run. That's my opinion based upon the volume that I'm seeing on the network, that I'm recording every day, and also what I am seeing coming into my wallets as reward is very exciting to me, because it ain't much now, but we're below sacrifice price right now. So where it could go can make a guy really happy. But what I was thinking about is, like, how can we, like, let's say we wanted to project what a 100x would do to our wallets. And I know that's very difficult to do, but is it difficult? How can we figure out how much monetary value would need to come into the Pulse network for it to do, say, a 100x? How do you mathematically calculate that? Or is it calculable?
Yeah, it's calculatable. It depends on how big RH keeps the LP pools, because most of the major LP pools are mostly supplied by him, and also the farming, I would say.
Okay.
But because how it works is, if you double the ask side of the liquidity pool, it 4x's the price of the asset. So you could look at the size of a liquidity pool. Let's say it's at $20 million. So half of that liquidity pool to ask side would be 10 million. So every time 10 million is injected into that liquidity pool, it 4x's the price.
Okay. And the ask side, is that like if you have a PLS hex pair, is PLS the ask side?
That would more be the hex, because the hex is the smaller asset.
Oh.
So I would more say like the ETH to PLS, or
Okay.
the DAI from Ethereum to PLS, or whatever those large LP pools are with PLS that are actually from outside of this ecosystem. Because a lot of the X's that we will get, and not only our ecosystem, but other sub ecosystem built on this blockchain, are multiplied or magnified by the success of the blockchain itself. Not only because we get free X's by the blockchain doing X's, but then we also get users that we can tap into and new money that we can tap into. Because since the launch of Pulsechain, I don't track the bridge, but I know a couple of my buddies track the bridge, and you can actually see how much money has been bridged over and that we're playing with over here. And currently, I'd say throughout the last year, we've just been shuffling the same money around. Some money comes in, some money comes out, but the amount that's actually been in the bridge hasn't changed as much as you would really think.
Okay.
Because every time money's coming in, there's also money going out. So I forget how much it is. I feel like it's like 100 million or something like that. I would really have to look it up.
Okay.
But what I'm getting at is, depending on how big RH keeps those LP pools, he can pump the ecosystem pretty easily. But the question is, how many people will hold and how many people will sell into that pump? Because that's what would make it difficult. You know what I mean? Because if RH pumped it up 10x and instantly there was a huge wave of sell-off and it brought it back down to the same price, well, then it would be like a constant back and forth wash. He pumps it, they sell it down. He pumps it,
Right.
They sell it down. He pumps it, they sell it down. So it could actually take quite a bit of funds if that just went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But if a lot of people were washed out, or a lot of the people that were still within the ecosystem were farming with their tokens, either PulseX farms or our farms or other farms out there that are safe, or if they're just strong-handed and they don't want to sell for a while, it could come pretty easily. But that being the case is most likely not. There will be a lot of people selling into
Sure.
the natural pump / the pump from RH.
I see. Mikey, you're a speaker. Hi, how's it going? You're muted.
Sorry about that. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, Banana? You all right?
Yes, sir. Doing good. I'm a happy banana tonight.
You're a top banana in my mind. I wondered if I could just talk to Zen again.
Oh, of course.
I'm still trying to get my head around this liquidity. Double liquidity for extra price. I know we spoke about it before. And I thought I had it in my head, but I haven't. And you know, you were saying it's on the ask side of the bid on the liquidity. So you add liquidity to, well, you can't, can you? You can't add liquidity just to the ask side. You've got to add it 50-50, haven't you? So how do you add just to the ask side of the bid?
Well, what I'm saying, like, yeah, so the way you add to one side is by buying the token or selling the token.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. So if you had a liquidity pool and you start buying out of it, you'd be technically increasing the ask side. Maybe that's the buy side. I don't know which one's which, but you'd be increasing. Let's say I was buying pTGC out of the PLS pair, I would be adding to the PLS side, and then naturally that would have to increase the price of pTGC, because how V2 liquidity works is it has to keep the ratio between the two tokens the same. So if I injected PLS into the liquidity pool, and let's say I raised that liquidity pool from $100,000 to $110,000 of PLS in there, and then I took some of the pTGC out, well, now that pTGC needs to not only be worth $110,000 instead of $100,000, but there's also now less pTGC in that liquidity pool. So it's actually increasing the price of the pTGC due to two reasons. One, because now there's more PLS it has to match, and two, because there's less of it.
Yeah, so you've bought pTGC with Pulse, so you've given Pulse into the liquidity pool, and you've taken pTGC out of the liquidity pool. Thus, it's got to balance, and there's less pTC and more Pulse. You got that right, yeah?
Yep, that's correct.
That's correct. The next issue was, and then we discussed like how Pulse going to get to 100x, never mind 1,000x. And you were saying that you could buy it and remove liquidity, buy it and remove liquidity. But if you remove the liquidity, so by adding liquidity, if you double the liquidity, 4x the price according to our rates. So if you half the liquidity, sure you double the price 4x. So by removing liquidity, won't that adjust the price down?
You're going in and out a little bit for me, Banana. Are you hearing him completely?
No, I'm not.
You're breaking up a little bit. I'm trying to piece it together.
Well, let me try again. Come closer to the phone. My point was, if you remove liquidity, but to pump the price, you've got to reduce the liquidity, buy it, reduce the liquidity, buy it, reduce the liquidity.
Well, you don't have to reduce the liquidity. You can pull liquidity and add liquidity as you please. It's just when you have less liquidity, it's easier to pump because you'll need less money injected into the liquidity pool to make it do X's.
Yeah, so if you remove liquidity, wouldn't that reduce the price in the same way that injection will pump the price?
Well, so there's two. When I was saying reducing liquidity, I meant like actually taking PLP tokens, so actually removing liquidity from the liquidity pair, not actually buying or selling the token. So so that when you just remove liquidity from the liquidity pairs, it actually doesn't change the price. There's just less liquidity there for the ecosystem to use or holders to use. So the less liquidity that's in that pool will make the product actually more volatile. And that's sometimes a good thing if you're planning on pushing the price up, but then it's also a really bad thing if a lot of people are going to try to take profits on the protocol because it'll tank the price very easily. And that's mostly the problem with crypto is, people are sitting on, let's say, a 10x, and then they want to sell and take profits, but there ain't a lot of liquidity in the protocol. And then that's what really sells down the price and makes it to where usually one user is making a lot of gains where 99 users all bit the bullet.
Yeah, and we're paying a load of slippage as well.
Yeah, and they'd be paying having slippage on them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get my head around that ourselves then. But no, rough day today, wasn't it? In the market.
Yeah, rough couple days.
Yeah, I thought it held up pretty good. pTGC and UFO, in all fairness, with everything else.
Yeah, usually sub or alt tokens on blockchains tend to fall harder in situations like this, and we actually held up, I think, if not better than the blockchain, quite similar. So I think that's a really good sign. If we can, as a community, if we can withstand stuff like this very, very easily, like I think our community held up very, very well in these chaotic moments, I think that shows a lot about not only the product, but also the community that we've built behind this product really believe in it. These situations actually aren't really scaring our ecosystem for, in my opinion, multiple reasons, because one, we're making money off of it. And we're like looking at everyone else as they're like freaking out, but we know it's paying us. So as long as it goes back up to where we believe it should be, we just made extra money.
Yeah, I mean, considering it, I think ETH were down over 20% on it today, down 22%. It really took a battering with Ethereum.
Yeah,
but, we welcome the volume, don't we?
Oh yeah, the volume is great for us, especially from coming. Like a lot of that volume was not even like technically from any issues with Pulsechain. It's just the connection of Pulsechain to Ethereum via liquidity ties are what sucked Pulsechain down, and then obviously that fear sets in and then creates like natural volatility as well. But volatility from a couple levels up, besides our just Pulsechain crashing, in my opinion, is kind of nice because we know what we're going to do over here. And if we're getting free money from the volatility of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and it's just rippling down to us, we'll take it. Buy and burns, PLS rewards, UFO reflections, pTGC rewards and reflections, LP ads, everything. We'll do it all, especially at these super cheap levels. If we can have high volatility days and high volume days at these really cheap levels, we're just really eating at our supply and buying and burning a good chunk with every transaction. So,
yeah. Do you think we'll ever get like proper adoption, major adoption?
To crypto in general or Pulsechain?
No, just a Pulsechain.
I think a lot of that is actually sadly dependent on RH. I personally believe RH is gonna save a lot of people with Pulsechain. I think it's just on his time and when he feels the time is right, and not when our patience runs out. And I believe a lot of people's patience will run out before he feels the time is right, which I completely understand why he wants to do it when the time is right, because it's all on his name. It's all with technically his money. So it shouldn't be on our times. It should be on his time, and we should just be thankful for the ride. But the honest truth is what brings adoption is green candles. So as soon as green candles start to come here, people aren't biased. They'll come over here and play on this blockchain. The blockchain has good enough technology than any other. It's literally a fork of Ethereum with cheaper gas fees, so you can't really ask for more than that. But at this point, no one's going to come to a ghost town, you know? Yeah. There's no point unless you're an RH Maxi. And at this point, we're not really creating any new RH Maxis or Hexicans or Pulsicans, whatever you want to name it, because the chart's been so down for the last 3 years on Hex alone, and obviously Pulsechain for the last year as well. So you can't really educate people on how amazing these products are when the products aren't acting amazing. And I was like telling someone the other day about how I even got into Hex. I don't know if you were in that call, but the person who got me into Hex was someone who invested in Hex at day one of Hex, and he only put $400 in, but at the peak, you know, at 10,000x, that $400, and he has most of his staked, and obviously he didn't sell the top perfectly or any of that stuff. I'm just using these numbers as examples, but he turned $400 technically into over $4 million at one point. So, and he wasn't working or anything when I met him. He educated me. I was, wondering, why aren't you working? What are you doing out here in California right now, visiting your family instead of, and he's like, well, I don't really work anymore due to crypto. And at that time I was into crypto a little bit, but I wasn't into DeFi. I didn't understand DeFi. I wasn't really down that rabbit hole at all. And, he educated me on it. And I'd say one of the reasons my ears were so perked up about it was because the products were doing good. My ears probably would have never even thought to listen to it if he was down, if his $400 was worth $100. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a different story then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a story you're not even willing to give him the time of day of. So I think just once our story changes on here, it will create a bunch of, in my opinion, like, I guess the word would be advocates for Pulsechain, because there will be a lot of people that are at least somewhat financially free, even if they're working their day job still, or they have a business that they're passionate about, or they're doing some form of work outside of crypto. But at least when you're educating someone on the platform, you can show them that it's been a successful venture for you. And it's a lot easier to onboard people, is the sad truth, when it's a successful venture.
Yeah. Nobody's listening to me at the moment, and I'm trying to get them into these projects because all the prices are down. Can I ask you then, so how soon did you get into Hex? How old was Hex when you got in?
I forget what the price was, but I got in, I think, around like the 1 cent to 5 cent range. And I staked mine, so I ran mine all the way up and then all the way down, and it's coming out in like 2027. I didn't do no 5555 or anything like that, but so that's pretty much my Hex story. My Hex story is not interesting at all. It's, I put my money in, I staked it, it's still there. I haven't even touched it. So
Yeah,
but that's what sent me down the rabbit hole of watching pretty much every video of our age, learning about it, educating myself, and really trying to figure this industry out. And the truth is, when I kind of landed on this industry and I was really looking for good investment opportunities, and there wasn't anything really out there. Like, there was nothing good. And that's one of the reasons why I started trying to build stuff, because when I got here, I thought there was going to be all these awesome investments, like how I was taught with Hex, because that was like the first one I was educated on. So I was like, oh, there must be a lot of other opportunities kind of like Hex out there with these products and like thought behind them. And really, when I ended up here, I just couldn't find anything else. Like, there was literally nothing, and it was just a big space of gambling. So that's why me and my team really kind of set foot in the direction of like, there is still a lot of financial products that could still be built that have really solid product market fit that are needed in this space. Hex isn't exactly what it's done really, really well, but I personally think I don't want to say that I've improved on it, because I don't like comparing apples to oranges. I look at them as two completely different products. And but I like to say that I took a lot of ideas from Hex and implemented them into my system, along with a lot of other ideas as well.
Yeah. I was looking at the stats today on your website, and the buy and burn chart that you've got at the side of the trees, that looks to me like RH designed as is T-shirt. That's for the right, that's all it is. The thing with that thing, the T-shirt chart comes down, and that'll never go down that chart. It'll always be up to the right.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, like, everyone, especially because a lot of people are just looking for short-term gains. It's a lot of degen play, a lot of gambling. A lot of people here aren't actually looking to invest long-term. So people become really like into just the USD dollar chart. But the truth is, there's in real investment products, there's a lot of other charts than just the price chart. And I think we all know this by Hex, like T-share rates, and there's a lot of charts that go on to Hex. You can even look at when Hex stakes are coming out, and you can make financial decisions based on when inflation of the products coming out in the future. And there's a lot of actually moving pieces to these protocols, and that's one of the reasons I actually like that chart, is because it's a chart that's just only up and to the right, and it's a very positive feature. And in my opinion, one of the most positive features of pTGC that and UFO that everyone can actually sit in this protocol and know with every transaction, and that's like legitimately with every transaction that happens within our ecosystem, there's less pTGC out there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's marvelous, really. Yeah, marvelous.
It's kind of like having an island that's worth a lot of money and everyone's got their plot of land on it, but ocean levels keep rising and the plot of land just gets less and less and less and less, and it's just shrinking on everyone, and the property just becomes worth more and more and more as the sea levels rise.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, I think that's about all I've got, Zen. So thanks for talking to me once again.
No, I appreciate you coming up.
Okay, thanks very much. See you, Badan. I'll let somebody else up to speak now.
There you go. Thanks, Mikey.
All the best.
Maybe get Coach up here a little bit if he hasn't talked too much today already from his stream this morning.
He is a speaker if he wants to speak. Coach? Mr. Coach.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I was about to talk. My little one just started crying. Give me a second.
Sure. Maybe while he's getting things ready, Zen, you had a stream. I think it was a stream with Pulse Ray Vision. I mean, and I looked on his YouTube and I don't see it. I don't see it on his channel. Doesn't mean
He said that he's in timeout on YouTube. So I think he's what would the word be? I'm sure you know. He's on hold, or he's currently not allowed to stream on YouTube, so he's only streaming on X.
Oh, okay.
So, and I would assume he records them every day. I don't know why he wouldn't, but he was only streaming it on Twitter.
Okay. I should be able to find it though.
It was
Sorry about that. Sorry, that was my Twitter. What were you saying?
Don't get me started about Kamala Harris now.
I think it was on Friday. I honestly can't even remember all my days get so mixed up.
I'm on his page right now, so I'm looking for it. I'll reach out to him.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, I tried to tag him in our chat so he could answer for you, because I could maybe find it too.
Well, if you happen to send it over, and I'll, because from what I heard, it was very good. So I would like to listen to it. See if I can get any nuggets out of it, you know.
Zen, can you hear me?
Yeah, surprisingly.
Ooh, look at that. I was having the hardest time with.
It still just says
right now.
listener. It doesn't say you're a speaker, but
That's weird. Well, I've been coming back and forth for like the last 30 minutes.
It says speaker on my screen.
The dad life. Kids, 2 kids.
Best life.
Well, my wife was like, "What's happening with Ethereum? Are we okay?" And I was
Are we okay?
"Fine." I'm like, "Come on, girl."
We're okay. Ethereum may not be. This is temporary.
She was like, "Do you have any meme tokens on Ethereum?" I'm like, "Luckily, I do not." Those things got obliterated. I saw a token go down 70% today
Wow.
that I've been eyeballing.
yeah, the alts that don't have product market fit are always the first to go.
Well, it's just memes. The memes will go first, and then the good memes stay. Because at the end of the day, like when it comes down to like bull markets too, it's just like the whole concept about liquidity. The more liquidity, good or not good, but product market fit or good memes actually help out the whole chain itself on the liquidity side of things. I saw FTX still owns like $8 billion worth of Solana today. That's great news for Solana holders.
So, I don't know who I was telling this story to. I think it was on one of these spaces. I was talking about how when I lived in Hawaii, how they told me the story about how a king somewhere gave this island 3 deer, and they told them not to kill the deer for 15 years. So then the island could live off of these deer for the rest of their lives. Was I telling you that story, Banana?
Yeah, you told it on the spaces several weeks. I think it was like the first week or maybe the second week. It bears repeating though.
Well, so since my wife was out of town and my son was out of town, I actually got to grab some dinner with that friend of mine that I lived out there with.
Okay.
And I was telling him how I used that basic, and that's actually a true story, but it's a pretty basic story that helps people to understand delayed gratification and how powerful it is. And by delaying your gratification, you can actually feed your family for the rest of its life, or many families after it.
Yeah.
And I was explaining that, and he gave, because I lived in Hawaii when I was 16, and obviously this is many years later, and he goes, well, there's actually a little bit more to that story that helps your story.
Ooh.
He goes, now there's so many deer that they can't even control it, and they're like forced to go out and keep hunting them even though they don't even need any more food. So adding to your story, that just means people's tokens would just be printing so much that they couldn't even spend it all, which I thought was kind of funny. But
yeah,
the deers now have compounded so much, and this must have also been this way when I was younger, but they didn't go that deep into telling me the story. But he was telling me that, yeah, there's so many deer now that they can't even handle it. And he's like, but for your situation, that's a good thing, because you really can't ever have too much money. But in this situation, you actually can have too many deer, because I guess they're just eating a ton of their plants and stuff like that too. And there's just too many of them, and they're populating too fast now, because there's no like predator on the island that will kill them. So
sure.
Yeah.
Well,
but if that situation happened to us, that would be only a good thing. I can't think of the negative. So
yeah. Well, it's like out here in the Northwest where we have deer and elk, and all the big game animals are managed by the Fish, Wildlife, and Parks. And every hunter can, take one elk, for example, maybe a couple of deer, depending on the season and the numbers. But up in Alaska, they have so many caribou that the limit is like 17 caribou per household, something like, or per hunter, something like that. I'm like, wow, their caribou must be out of control, kind of like the deer on that island in Hawaii. But we need that to be for our crypto bags, like out of control. But I think the key thing there to help that happen is hodling those bags and continuing to inject fiat and working our jobs if people are still employed, and many of us are, and that's fine. And if your plan is to exit the rat race, my advice is to don't step off the pier until the boat is moored up to the pier and it's clear you can step off, but it might take some time, and we have to be willing to work and wait. And we probably need to work a little bit longer and wait a little bit longer than we may necessarily want to. Bringing it back to your friend who turned a few $100s into a few $1 million in hacks, but then he got wrecked when it all tanked and he had to go back and find work. We don't want, we can learn from his mistake and do it more wisely, if you will. And everybody's going to be different.
Let it compound enough, and like with that story with the deer, like that's why they said 15 years. And obviously I don't think we need to go 15 years, but if you don't actually give it the time to get to that tipping point where it just becomes so much that you can't spend it all, or you can't, in this case, kill all the deer, they can feed your whole family and keep repopulating, because that's what you want. You want to be able to eat off of that livestock, but then you want them to also keep repopulating while you're living off of them. So when you come back next season, it's all replenished.
Yes.
And this is really only relevant to our ecosystem and other ecosystems that you compound on top of, because if you aren't compounding and you're not actually earning APR off of those tokens, the only thing you can actually do is eat into your nut. And if you eat into your nut too much, eventually there's nothing left.
Yes. Yep. You want to live off the yield and never touch the principal. That's the goal. That's the wise thing to do.
Well, there's only 3.7% of the supply.
Yeah.
Rest this morning it was at 3.85%.
Man, we're 0.02% closer to an actual 11.00% burned to date, because we're at 10.95%. And
look at it.
Last week we were at like 10.93, I think.
Yeah. Polygon is down 89% since the top of 2021. Damn, that's ruthless.
The notorious one wants to know how yesterday's yield was. Well, I was out of town for a couple of days, so I didn't put anything into my sheet, so I really don't know. I don't have any data for the last few days. I'll have some data from tomorrow morning in this sheet. But yield yesterday would have been higher than Saturday, because UFO's volume was about a 3x more yesterday than Saturday. And pTGC's volume was really like 5 into 4, more like an 8x more yesterday versus Saturday. So we were up in yield.
Yeah, well, we know today there was roughly in total $2,000 paid out in yield just from UFO, $1,500 going to the LP providers in form of PLS, and then $500 in UFO to just holders.
Okay.
And then obviously 500 bought and burnt roughly of pTGC, 500 bought and burnt of UFO. So that's UFO's distribution of the day, roughly. Obviously a little bit more, but pTGC, I don't know that volume off the top of my head. You can look it up. I can kind of give rough numbers, but
40,000.
40,000. So that would be, what would that be?
250. 250
for what? There's like a bunch of different.
PGC buy and burns, and then 250 went to PGC and Pulse as well.
Oh, okay, yeah. So $250 to pTGC buy and burn, $250 to LP, and then what would that be? $800 to reflections and rewards, and then $800 to the DAO. Is that right, Coach? Sounds about right.
Yeah, I think I went over on my stream this morning. I think that was the correct numbers.
Crypto Durgan wants to know what's the best way to buy pTGC. Bridge USDC to Pulsechain?
If you're not on Pulsechain already, you would have to get WPLS on Ethereum and then bridge WPLS. And once it crosses the bridge, it will turn into PLS. But if you already have some PLS, you could bridge in USDC, you could bridge in ETH, you could bridge in DAI, you can bridge any of those things across the Pulsechain bridge. But if you don't have any PLS, you want to bridge in WPLS, and you can buy WPLS on Uniswap because you don't want to land over on this chain without the gas token, because right when you land here, you won't be able to swap out of whatever token. But yeah, so you cross the bridge with either WPLS or pretty much any major ETH ticker. I usually bring wrapped ETH over personally. And when you get here, I swap my wrapped ETH for WPLS, and then not WPLS, I swap the wrapped ETH for PLS, and then I swap the PLS for pTGC or UFO on PulseX. If you're swapping for pTGC, you need to do it on V1, and the slippage needs to be 6. And if you're getting UFO, you do it on V2, and the slippage needs to be 7. If you need more help, just go to our Telegram chat, and there's like 50 people in there that will help you get through all the steps, because if you haven't done it before, it's a little bit daunting.
So let me run those by you again. So is pTGC V1 6%?
Yep.
Okay, and UFO is V2 7%.
Yep.
Okay. I've seen you use that in the chat, and it seems like it's an important thing to jot down. So I've got it. Crypto Durgan, I posted the link in the chat to the Pulsex. If you go to you can see my screen, click on Pulsechain Bridge. That'll take you right to the bridge. Well, you got to actually go to bridge.mypinata.cloud after that, if you just follow me along. And here's the bridge. Connect your wallet and select your tokens, bridge it over. And thank you for the compliment. Appreciate that. All the best getting your tokens too. Okay. Free pulse being dropped in new. The notorious one asks, is 10,000 free pulse still being dropped into new wallets that bridge over? I've seen this before. This question.
I've done it to where I was getting it. Like I had a fresh wallet and I bridged some in and I got it. And then I remember like a few months later, I did it again with a different fresh wallet and it didn't happen. So I don't think it's happening anymore.
Okay. Crypto Stylist says, in her opinion, it's been easiest to buy within the internet money wallet. I've used that wallet a little bit. I used the, what do you call it? The Rabby wallet almost exclusively. And I'm aware of a Pulse faucet. Let me see if I can find that.
Yeah, the internet money wallet and swap aggregator, whatever you want to call it, is awesome. Also really easy to use. For me, it's just habits. You know what I mean? I'm so used to going over to Pulsex. It's probably not the best or easiest or most efficient. It's just the way I've done it since the first day of Pulsechain. So that's just how I've kept doing it.
Yeah. You kind of do what you have a habit of doing. Let me see if I can find that Pulse faucet.
Yeah. Also on our website, at the bottom, there's a link, and it's a PDF document that walks you through step by step pretty much on how to get from Ethereum to Pulsechain and buy pTGC. If anyone needs help, it's at the bottom of the homepage. I forget if you want to pull it up, Banana. If you're on
Sure.
YouTube, you can pull it up. But
Yeah.
I've given that to a few people also.
Yes. I was using that one actually for my own until I started creating my own Pulse with the tokens that I own. I was buying Pulse, and that's how I would do it is I would follow the instructions on that sheet. So I'll find it and pull it up.
Yeah, it's nice because I think it gives even the token address for wrapped Pulse. And sometimes that's needed because there's actually like other wrapped pulses on Dex tools and stuff like that people obviously have made to trick people for the most part. So at least there you can verify the contract address of wrapped pulse as well.
Yes, that's important. I did that very thing. So as Zen was saying, here is the instructions for getting over to the Pulse network. Starts on page 3. Step 2, buying Ethereum, sending it to MetaMask or whatever your soft wallet is. Step 3, swapping your Ethereum for WPLS on Uniswap. Step 4, connecting to the Pulsechain bridge, like I just dropped a few minutes ago. And then once your WPLS are bridged over, they're PLS once they arrive. And then you can swap with the Pulse X DEX, swap your Pulse for pTGC or UFO. Just like you said, make sure and set your slippage, and then don't be surprised when you lose your 5% or 6%, depending on which token you're buying, because they're a tax token, and we just know that we're going to pay a tax. So that's that. And I'll drop this in the chat. I think Crypto Durgan is already on his way. Crypto Stylist says the step-by-step instructions on how to buy crypto, bridge, and exchange for pTGC on the Gray's website is excellent for onboarding. I agree. It's so well done. When I first saw this I was like, whoever built this thing, and I was brand new to this ecosystem, brand new to pTGC, and I saw this step-by-step so well laid out with pictures. I was like, man, whoever did this has very good attention to detail. And
yeah, that's Archimedes.
Is
that's
it?
Not me. Yeah, and it's funny because we have businesses outside of this, and we like write all of our proposals and like bids out in like somewhat similar formats, and we get a lot of compliments on how we present these bids because we're bidding on like pretty large projects, and you want to be pretty detailed in these proposals.
Yep.
So everyone's on the same page as far as what you're pricing out. So and on top of that, once you know the guy, he's like a perfectionist, like crazy. Like everything he does, it's like really, really well quality. Like I've never seen the guy do anything half-assed.
That's good. He does the thumbnails for the streams, for these streams that we're on YouTube. He volunteered to do the thumbnails, and he's got a template, and I just asked for a certain date and time, and boom, he'll have it to me within 24 hours. And they look fine. They look great, in my opinion. They're suitable, way better than I could do. You've seen some of my thumbnails. They're not stellar.
You know whose thumbnails I've been liking lately is Coach's.
Coach. Yeah, he's using some AI, aren't you, Coach, for your profile picture in there?
Well, the best thing about me, I know how to delegate just like you. So I couldn't make those things if I tried. No, but actually I know the software. But the guy who actually does all my shorts too as well, he's the one that's been doing those thumbnails, and he keeps on doing a great job. So I was like, why stop? So
there you go.
Yeah, I honestly think they're some of the better thumbnails I've ever seen, to be honest, Coach. I think they look really good.
You mean my aliens with drinking coffee isn't the same?
No.
Yeah, those are pretty good. Not gonna lie. So. Oh, I got some other videos that I'm creating. I sent Zen a video today, which was pretty cool. I'm going to show it tomorrow. It's going to be.
Are you creating those videos? I figured you were just sending me some TikTokers animations.
Well, I had to create the videos. I had to clip it and shit. I have to do that. That takes some work.
So it's someone else's video.
Well, yeah. It's on the internet. Anything can be copied and created and redesigned and changed.
That's what I'm thinking about, getting Pulse Ray Vision's audio onto YouTube somehow. I'll talk to him about that. Because if he can't get it on his channel, maybe he'll let me put it on mine, just so or on the Gray's channel, just so we have it in our library.
He told me I could. He just said I had to go and like record it or download it or something like that. And with the Gray's channel, I like just taking it and pinning it to the playlist. It literally just takes me like legitimately a second. I know it sounds pretty lazy of me, but
no.
Maybe you'll do it, Banana.
Maybe.
Well, actually,
I just don't have any of the like setup I don't have a StreamYard. I don't have any snipping.
No, you don't need a stream. Yeah. No, you just do what you're doing, and I'll keep doing what I'm doing, and Coach will keep doing what he's doing. And we'll get it done.
Well, actually, no, that video that I created with my buddy, that's going to be probably coming out this week.
Okay.
He's almost done editing.
Is that like the second in the series that you did like maybe a month ago, the first one?
Yeah. So,
okay.
So I'm kind of doing the same kind of sitting in the chair looking like Steve Jobs. But the whole video is going to be talking about pTGC. But there's a green screen. We did a green screen behind it this time.
Okay.
So the background is actually pretty dope. Not gonna lie.
Okay, right on, man. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Till the good is better, the better is best. Yeah, man. Keep it in.
Do we get a hint of what the background is, Coach?
It's just like a nice ambiance type of alien feeling.
Imagine that.
I was hoping you were gonna do RH's streaming backdrop.
Well, I would have to green screen or green out the chair, but you know,
you just put yourself in his throne.
Hey, the next video. I'll wait until Pulse is 10x stack price before doing that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Ask your questions. We'll be doing this again on Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern. But now's our chance. I think we're going to cut it off if we don't get any questions and reconvene on Saturday.
Sounds good.
That's not a threat, guys. I'm not threatening anybody.
No, that's good with me. I literally just picked my wife up, and she's been gone for a few days, so I think she'd appreciate me giving her a little attention.
Yes, we need you around and alive. So, and wife has a lot to do with that. So, absolutely. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut it off. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. 70 people in the YouTube and 4, 8, 12, 15 on Twitter. So thanks, everybody, for being here. We'll see you all again on Saturday. Adios, and see you, Zen. See you, Coach. Have a good week, guys. And that stream.